Okay, hi everyone. I really appreciate being here. I really appreciate the Home Care Innovation Forum allowing me to speak on something I'm really passionate about, which is organizations, cultures, and how we move things forward, especially from the C-suite. And so, and I want to thank all of you. You are my peers. All of you do a really nice job of pushing our organization and me personally to be better every day as we get together. You allow me, whether you know it or not, to steal your very best ideas and to stay away from your very worst ideas. And then I also appreciate you all for the shared passion we have around delivering home care. If you don't know who VNS is, we are a 131-year-old organization that has been delivering care in the home that entire time. We are 6 business lines from payer and provider, 10,000 employees, $3 billion in revenue. Just really quickly on that. Let's just jump in. Great. We've talked about this. Is like we come to these conferences, right? And I don't know about you, but I won't feel better because all we do is we sit together and talk about all the challenges we have. But we do feel better collectively because we're talking about solutions to those problems. But what we think, though, when we talk about innovation, is we use innovation oftentimes in our organization to try to weather this storm that we're under. And we're always under. The storm changes. Sometimes it's the 3 things I put up there, and sometimes it's something else. But I would propose that there is a different path that we should be talking about. And I know many of you do this already, but I think it's important to say, how do we create an organization that isn't deploying innovative solutions, but is a truly innovative organization, right? Company that constantly innovates, and they do it together and for a purpose. And I think if we do that, right, if we create an organization that does that on its own, we set ourselves up for a much brighter future. All right, so how many feel like this when it comes to driving innovation in your organization? Anybody? I do often. And so what I see my job and what I'm challenging us as C-suite leaders is not just to bring other people in on it to help us push, but actually do the hard work to change the paradigm in our organization so that it just moves quicker. We're no longer pushing uphill, but we're pushing level or downhill and moving faster. Let's step back. I think it's really important to say, what is innovation? In our organizations, what I found is when we use words like innovation, like empowerment, like AI, generally people aren't aligned on what that really means. And I think as leaders, we should start with making sure the organization knows what we mean by innovation. And we're going to spend a little time, not too much, on this here, but let's start with what innovation does not have to be. I'd love to hear anyone have any ideas in their mind on what innovation does not have to be? You can just shout it out. Thank you. Technology, yep. That's it. Doesn't have to be something new, right? Well, I want to play a little family feud and say, what does the survey say? The survey is a survey of 1, that's me, so what do I say? Some of the things, certainly doesn't have to be complex, right? Not everything we do, like changes in workflows, reconfigurations, right? Like it doesn't always have to be super complex. This one resonates for all those who run home health agencies. It doesn't have to be expensive. Capital is limited. And again, there are ways to be innovative without it always costing a lot of money. It doesn't have to be radical. It doesn't have to be life-changing, right? It doesn't have to be a robot, although those are really cool. And there are places for those things, but it doesn't have to be a radical change in the way you do business. And most importantly, and this is what I'm centering this discussion around, it should not come from the top, right? Like we can't push down innovation just won't work. So what is it? Solution-oriented. Okay, we have a problem. We are trying to solve a solution. We're not just innovating because everybody else is innovating on this and they're trying that. It needs to be solving a problem. The problem needs to be identified through data. We often use data as the solution. And of course, we use data to measure the results. This is my favorite. It should be patient-centric. As an industry, we have tended in the past to not think about the patients first. We think about other things. I think we're doing a much better job in healthcare of being patient-centric. And as we talked about this morning, collaboration is absolutely critical, right? We need to collaborate internally to do that. All right, so what are the building blocks to create into moving from just an organization that does innovation to one that is truly innovative? And I would say it starts with culture. And this is like the hard, anyone struggle with moving your culture in a different direction? That have large, yeah, thank you. There's one person with me here. This is like the hardest work in the C-suite, right? This is absolutely the hardest work. I'll often, someone will say to me, because I do lots of skip levels in meetings like this is really, we're really political here. I'm really? Like that's exactly the opposite of how I want it to be, but it's very hard in large organizations to do culture work. So I'm going to give you 5 things that I think are important. The first is that your values reflect a culture of innovation. So if you want to create a culture of innovation, your values have to reflect that. At VNS Health, we have 3 core values. One of them is agility, to really reflect the fact that it is a changing environment. We have to change with it, and part of that is being innovative. The second thing is performance management. And so people will do what you pay them to do. If your performance management program, and not just compensation, but your entire program, isn't aligned around creating a culture of innovation, you won't optimize. And this is not easy. Like I've spent 3 years revamping our performance management system because it's an organism in and of itself, and it's very difficult. But that needs to align. The third is, in my mind, communication and collaboration. So the way I described it is I seek out hierarchies and then seek to destroy. Like silos and hierarchies are really bad for innovation, and they slow everything down. And so as my job as CEO, I work really hard to identify those areas. And that might be people, and it might be structure, and it might be process. But you got to find them and eliminate it. Create a different path for your organization that's truly collaborative and communicates really well. The fourth thing is learning, a constant learning environment. So we use a term called growth mindset. Anyone heard of growth mindset? I love it. If you don't know it, Google it, read about it. It comes out of Stanford. But it's really powerful because there's a fixed mindset, which is what I think our industry tends to be at times, where we're rigid in nature and we're not risk takers inherently, to something where your folks truly look to take risks, to do different things, to stretch themselves, and to learn from that. That's the key. Like we have to learn from everything we do, and we have to share those learnings, which brings me to my fifth thing, is you can do all kinds of work to create a culture of innovation. But if you're not, if people aren't willing to take risk because you're not set up to take risks, this gets back to bonus programs and who gets the next job and so on and so forth, nothing will happen. So your organization has to be a risk-taking organization that has to feel like I can take a risk and I'm not going to lose my job. In fact, if I do it well and in a disciplined manner, and in a data-driven manner and all those other things we talked about, that I'm going to get rewarded for that. And so look for that. We at ICOM, our founder, Lillian Wald, who was like the first community health nurse in the nation. She was a risk taker. She was very innovative, and it's in our DNA. But somewhere along the line, we had 6 business lines, and we have all this stuff going on in silos, and the way that the culture was risk averse. And many things come about that we're a highly compliant, there's compliance heavy environment, all that stuff. But you have to have that. All right, the second piece here, strategy. So our job, of course, is to set a course. And setting a course also sets a framework, right? So if you want to unleash your organization to be innovative, you have to have a strategy that doesn't sit on the shelf. So a lot of times we do strategy work. You've all been a part of organizations that did a big reveal of the strategy, and then you don't hear about it again for 3 years when you do it again. And I would encourage you, like your strategy, if you truly believe it's your strategic plan, it's always front and center in everything you communicate and do, because it sets the boundaries for people to feel free. They know what to innovate in. And the way I use a little acronym in the office called FACT. I just use FACTS. Like we want to focus, align, commit, track, and stretch. And without a framework to work within is like, well, what do you want to focus on? Well, that's a strategic plan, right? What do you want to align around? Well, that's driven by the strategic plan. So having that also lets people know, what are you not going to do, right? And so one of the biggest advantages of having a strategic plan and aligning around its organization, it tells everybody what we're not going to do. And I think that's really important. All right, so once that, then it's people, right? Everything is dependent on people. You have to have the right people with the right mindset. You have to hire well, right? You have to take the time to make sure that in your recruiting processes that you hire for a culture of innovation. And there's a restaurateur out of New York. His name's Danny Meyer. Among many things he has done, Shake Shack is one of them, but he is a very successful restaurateur. And he wrote a book called Setting the Table. If you want a great book around consumer experience and a culture of hospitality, read it. He believes in this what he calls the 51%er, which is he hires for what the culture he wants. So he wants a culture of hospitality. That outweighs skills and experience. So you have to have a higher, like that's the most important thing, and then skills and experience. And ultimately, when you hire well, you get what you're looking for. And in this case, what I'm looking for and proposing we look for is a culture of innovation. Okay, why do this? Is like really hard work. Like this is what I spend most of my time on. And the question is why? What is in it? What can we expect as a leader? This is just some data points. This is all research-based. The first is improve clinical outcomes. And so if we do this and do this well, and we have an innovative organization, you can expect a better result on some, for example, readmission rates. And this is these are real data. Another area is better employee experience. This is really important. We talk about this all the time. As an industry, you can expect better employee engagement scores, but also improved productivity. And you'll see how these things roll together because you'll see higher financial performance. And so when you have an innovative culture, a true culture of innovation, and can bolster that with a really strong strategy, you can expect up to 3 times top and bottom line financial performance. So let that, for those of you that have to talk to their PE partners on a weekly basis, why you're engaged in this work, this is a good reason. The last and the thing that's nearest and dearest to my heart as a mission-focused organization is your patient sat. It's going to go up. This also ties to financial results, as we know, with value-based purchasing and so on. So that's what you can expect. I think a picture I like is, in our organization, right? If it's just one person trying to create change, you can have a pretty bright light bulb, but it doesn't really do the work. But as you start getting your entire organization engaged in this process and truly innovative, you can really differentiate yourself internally and externally. All right, one danger I want to talk about, what if we don't do this work? And I think the danger of not doing this work is that we shotgun, I don't know what the right analogy, I haven't quite figured it out, but we do innovation in a much more shotgun approach. And that's, every time we do something new and different, it's a energy suck on your organization. So if it's not tied to strategy and you're not doing it for a purpose and it's not collaborative across your organization and it's not for a specific problem set that you're trying to get at, the problem we have is you're sucking energy. So if you miss, the next time you go to innovate, it's that much harder. And it's like that hill that we looked at the beginning gets steeper, because every time we fail as an organization on an innovative program and it doesn't tie back to anything and we don't celebrate the failure and learn from it, you drain energy from your organization and change becomes that much harder. Right? And so I finished with just a little bit of time. What I would say again, just to repeat one more time, we don't do innovation. None of you do innovation for innovation's sake. I know that, or you wouldn't be here. But really defining it as like, we want an organization that constantly innovates, that we do it together, and we do it for a purpose. There's a reason, and it all ties back to that mission that you're trying to accomplish. So thanks for your time.